Hello, I'm going to demonstrate using Fusion 360 to create text that will be cut out on a Dynatorch CNC Plasma cutter. Just begin with any sketch or any object. We're going to create a sketch. I'm going to create the sketch on the top plane. You can see my top orientation is right there, so I'll just select that plane. I am going to click the create and come down to text. Go. I'm going to click that. Second corner of the text frame. Pop up there. My text will be a letter B. I want it to be 12 inches. Let's see. In height. And I want a different text. So to select a text, you can just come through here, select the list. You can go online to a number of different places and receive free text. Make sure you're using it appropriately per the license agreements. I'm zooming in and out some here. Remember that you can hold down the control button and the center, the roller button on your mouse to make some movements like that. All right, I'm going to come down here. I think I have a Ravi font that I really like for this situation. Perfect. One thing is, if you click on that font and you don't like it, you can always just double click it again. And if you double click it again, it's going to bring up the edit text, and you can have a number of things like by, right, if you wanted to, but we're just interested in the B today. All right, I'm going to click OK. Now, if you're getting free fonts, something to watch out for is the style or the format the font is. Certain formats, when you install them within Fusion 360 or within Windows to be used in Fusion 360, cannot do this next step. So for that case, you're either going to have to trace the letter out or you're out of luck. So in this case, I'm going to right click and I'm going to come down to explode text. And you're going to see it processed, and it's going to create a line drawing. And that's what we're going to use to create a toolpath. Or if you're making a three-dimensional object for 3D printing, you can utilize that tool, those sketches, the lines, as a three-dimensional object. So there we go. There's B. And I'm going to show you real quick how you can extrude that. So for something like 3D printing or just whatever object you're wanting to do. So I selected that object. I selected extrude. I came down here. I selected the B shape, and it's processing. There we go. Say I was going to do that out of 1/4 inch material. I do it that way. I type in 0.25, and as it's processing, I'll show you it turning, so you can see that three-dimensional effect. There we go. Now I'm going to tilt it up, and you can see how that has thickness. But in this case, I just want to see the top. Now, I'm going to save this as B. There we go. It's going to save. And that's going to allow me to come down here to our design function. I want to go down to our CAM function or manufacturer. All right, here's manufacturing. Now, I'm going to immediately check the units. I'm going to be operating in the imperial units, so I'll select inch. I will be selecting fabrication as opposed to milling, turning, additive, whatnot, and I'm going to be doing cutting a two-dimensional profile using the drawing that we have. So it's going to be bringing this up. There we go. Now we need to select a tool, and it's going to bring all the tools that are in the database up. Specifically, we're going to be using cutting, so I'm going to filter the category to cutting and plasma cutting. And since we're using the imperial units, I'll select inch, and I'll It's going to process that, and I should be able to double click on that and let it add that to the database. There we go. It should turn up here real shortly. One thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back into that library. I need to edit it for our machine. Our machine runs a 80 thousandths curve as opposed to the 40,000 that this tool has. So I'm going to edit the tool. Come up to the cutter, and where it says curve width, going to adjust that to 0.08. Perfect. I'm going to accept that and select it. The next step is to go to the geometry tab and select the geometry that I intend on cutting out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to cancel that. Instead, I'm going to do the inside. Notice the arrow. If you click on it, it will take it either on the outside or the inside is where the toolpath goes. And then the last toolpath I'm going to do is on the outside. Again, if we're cutting on the inside of the line or on the outside. I'm going to go to the heights. That doesn't really matter because the Dynatorch system controls all that externally. Here, I'm going to take the compensation type to in computer. And then finally, I'm going to do the lead in and lead outs. I'm going to do a nice radius since this is so large. I'm going to do a 1/4 inch radius, leave everything else the same, and hit OK and let it process. And we'll see what it comes up with for a toolpath. There we go. I'm going to be seeing the entrance and exit points. I'm going to zoom in on this. This is the actual line of the object that we drew using the text, exploding text, and here's the actual toolpath. So it's on the inside there, and in this case it's on the outside. And notice these lead in and lead outs, those will work perfectly fine for what I'm doing, so I'm going to fit here. So excellent. Now I'm going to save it once again. I'm going to just save over everything that I had, and then I'm going to come through and do the post-processing. So I right-clicked on the profile. If you have multiples, you can select those using Control or Shift, depending on which profiles you're wanting to select. Come up to post-process. In this case, I will be using a I do not have the Dynatorch configuration. Oh, there it is. I had to download that separately. I found it online. I have it in this directory, the actual post configuration. It popped up the Dynatorch. Everything else works very well in this. I'm going to hit the post. It's going to ask me where I would like to save the file, and I'm going to save it right here. I'm going to name it B. And here we go. As you can see, we have the code that was written in all of its glory. And this can then be taken directly over to the Dynatorch, this tab file, and utilized. So there you go.